8.5, we're going to look at factoring a trinomial when a equals 1. So all of our problems are going to look like this. We're going to have x squared with no number in front, plus some number x in the middle, plus a constant at the end. Okay, so because all these problems look the same, all the answers are going to look the same. So it's going to be two sets of parentheses, and they're both going to have whatever variable, and then the numbers and whether this is addition or subtraction is going to change. So we'll look at this example number 1 first. So I have x squared plus 7x plus 6. So I know that my answer to this factored is going to have two sets of parentheses, and they're both going to have an x in it. All right, and our next step is going to be what we call solve the x. So what that means, and this is just a way to organize your work. You don't have to do it this way, but it's just a way to remember. So I need two numbers that when I multiply them, the answer is 6. Okay, so the top is always going to be multiply, and then the bottom is always going to be add. So I need two numbers that when I multiply them together, the answer is 6. And if I add them together, the answer is 7. Okay, so what numbers can I multiply together to get 6? Well, I could do 2 times 3, but 2 plus 3 gives me 5, and I need 7. So what else could I multiply? I can multiply 1 times 6. All right, 1 times 6 is 6. 1 plus 6 is 7. So that is going to be my two factors. All right, and because both of these are positive, these are both going to be plus. So I have x plus 1 and x plus 6. Now, that is my answer. But we want to double check and make sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply these back out together to see if it gets me my original problem as the answer. So if I take x plus 1 times x plus 6, I would distribute. So x times x would give me x squared. X times 6 would give me 6x. 1 times x would give me x, and 1 times 6 would give me 6. When I combine my like terms in the middle, I get x squared plus 7x plus 6. So that means check, this answer is correct. All right, let's look at a second example. All right, so this time it's y. So I'm going to have y here, and in my second set of parentheses, another y. All right, I'm looking for two numbers that when I multiply them, the answer is 4. When I add them, the answer is -5. Okay, if I'm going to be adding numbers together and get a negative number as an answer, that means at least one of my numbers has to be negative. Okay, but if I multiply a negative times a positive, that's going to give me a negative number, and I need a positive number. So that tells me that both of my numbers have to be negative. Okay, so what could I multiply to get 4 as the answer? Well, I could do -2 times -2. That would give me +4. But if I add these two things together, that's going to give me -4, and I want -5. So that doesn't work. Okay, what else could I multiply? I could multiply, let's see, -1 times -4. Those two multiplied would give me +4, and those two added together would give me -5. So that's going to be my two numbers. Okay, so my factors now are going to be y minus 1 and y minus 4. Okay, and then let's distribute that back out and double check. Y times y is y squared. Y times -4 is -4y. -1 times y is -y. -1 times -4 is +4. Combine my like terms, I have y squared minus 5y plus 4, which is my original problem. Check. So that is my final answer. All right, so what I want you to do is pause here and try number 3 on your own. All right, and your answer should be x minus 6, x plus 2, because those two things multiplied together give me -12, and added together give me -4. All right, so we did factoring with 3 terms. Now we're going to factor with 4 terms. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4. That process is going to look a little bit different. So my first step is we're going to split this into 2 groups, meaning I'm going to put this in parentheses, and the second two terms in parentheses. Okay, we're just splitting the terms in half. And now each group should have a GCF like we did on our first day. So 2x squared plus 10x has a GCF, all right, of 2x. 2 and 10 can both be divided by 2, and I can take an x out of each term. So remember, that means like I'm going to divide both of these by 2x. So my leftover inside would be x plus 5. All right. For 3x plus 15, the GCF there is 3. Okay, so I can take out a 3, and that leaves me with x plus 5. Okay, now we got what we want here. When we factor by grouping, we want our two parentheses to match. So they both say x plus 5, so we are good to go. So for my final answer, one factor is the inside. What's inside the parentheses? X plus 5. Okay, the other factor is the outside. So what's outside the parentheses? Okay, 2x, and that's a positive 3. So these are my two factors. All right, and then just like before, we're going to multiply back out to make sure that we got the right answer. So x times 2x would be 2x squared. X times 3 would be 3x. 5 times 2x would be 10x. And then 5 times 3 would be 15. Even though these are in the opposite order, this still matches my original problem up there, so this is my correct answer. Okay, let's do number 2. All right, for this one, there was a mistake on number 2, so if the problem I have doesn't match what you have written for number 2, change it to match this one. Okay, then we're going to split into two groups. Okay, here, 3yz minus 18z. My GCF there, I can divide both of those by 3, and they also both have a z in common. Okay, so that means 3z is my GCF. And then here, 3 divided by 3 is 1, z divided by z is 1, so that just leaves me with y. And then negative 18 divided by 3 is negative 6, and my z's cancel out. Okay, here, y minus 6 does not have a GCF, so what I'm going to factor out is a 1. Okay, I'm going to divide everything by 1. Of course, that doesn't change it, so that leaves me with y minus 6. The reason I do that is it accomplishes what I need, which is for my parentheses to match. So one factor is inside. Inside is y minus 6. The other factor is outside, so 3z plus 1. All right, and then we will do one more example. Okay, split into 2. And then let's really see what my GCF is. Here, 3 and 15 are both divisible by 3. And they have an a in common, so my GCF there is 3a. And once I divide, I am left with x minus 5. Okay, here, negative x plus 5. All right, they don't have a GCF. So if I divide by 1, then I would have negative x plus 5. But now I have a problem, which is that my parentheses don't match because I have x minus 5 and then negative x plus 5. Okay, most of the time when this happens, we can solve it pretty easily. I can just change this to a negative 1. Okay, so if I divide by negative 1, now I have positive x and negative 5. And now x minus 5, my parentheses do match. Okay, so one factor is inside and the other factor is outside. Okay, so sometimes we have to divide by a negative to make our parentheses match, because that is the ultimate goal, is have those sets of parentheses match. If they don't, then I can't write this final answer. Okay, and that is it for 8.5.